Hi Aries, welcome to your July 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, you are the one that I am thinking about in terms of how this month can be enjoyed to the highest level because your fifth house is Leo, and Leo is the big sign that is a lot is happening in Leo in the month of July. And of course, the sun goes into Leo at the same time each year, around the third week of the month. But what I'm talking about is the fact that Venus is already in Leo as the month begins, starting in late June. And so Venus is in that fifth house, and Venus as a planet is associated with pleasure. The fifth house is associated with pleasure. I'm surprised that Venus doesn't rule the fifth house, to be honest with you. But the fifth house is fun and games. So anything that is done as leisure time, this can include sports and, going to amusement parks, hobbies, that sort of thing. I think you get where I'm going with that. And it's also the house of love and creativity, which are also connected to Venus. So all of that is in the same ballpark. And so Venus in the fifth house takes pleasure in the creative process, but also in the creative output of others. So if you're someone who is very connected, let's say, to paintings, and you love museums, that's like your favorite thing. Well, now that things are starting to open up, that might have been one of the first things you wanted to do. Now, there are Aries people like that. I was going to joke and say, maybe my example of an amusement park would be more in alignment with what Aries represents, because you like to, do things, go really fast and do things that are a little bit risky. But there are Aries people that are less like that, on the physical level, and more into these quiet pursuits that have an aesthetic quality to them. Of course, this is going to be a romantic influence. That goes without saying. And if you are artistically inclined, that can be great for your inspiration and output as well. So we have a new moon on the 9th of the month, and it's at 18 degrees of Cancer. This is one of those cardinal signs, so it's hitting one of the angular houses. In this case, we're talking about the fourth house of home and family. So there can be new developments here. And, again, this happens every year, but you may find that you tend to, would it be move or move in, all of these things, new moons, full moons, can bring similar circumstances, in the sense that a new moon could be buying a new house, but that means that you had to have sold an old one. So sometimes the new development is that you have sold your property, or that you have moved out of your property. So I'm not going to get concerned about whether you're putting a house on the market or deciding to leave or not, but maybe having some kind of a new attitude towards where you live. Sometimes people are very attached to something, and then they just kind of drop it like a bad habit. They no longer want to have anything to do with it. And that can be a good thing, because it can make it easier to leave. The fourth house is very sentimental. It's tied to the past. So in some cases, this can be a new way of looking at the past. that gives you a new perspective. On the 11th, Mercury goes into Cancer, so there you have it. Now we have Mercury in this house. This is also the place of your family tree. Mercury here can be about research, maybe genealogy, something that you find appealing at this time. Definitely thinking about childhood, thinking about long ago. So there could be a nostalgic thing going on for you around this time. And contracts, having to do with real estate could be coming into play. Mercury has now gone out of its shadow, so you can feel this sense of forward momentum. On the 21st, Venus goes into Virgo. So Virgo is a very practical place for everyone, but since you are the template of the universal chart, it literally is your 6th house. And so it really aligns with everything that, it stands for. And Venus in this place can indicate a love affair in the office place, finding love at the workplace. It can be having harmony with coworkers. It can be a raise. Venus can be money. So it can be a raise that you get. Perhaps your office is getting renovated, or if you are working from home, you may decide to invest in a beautiful office chair that is very comfortable. Venus loves that luxuriating feeling, not anything that's too hard and doesn't pamper you. Something like a more extravagant big ticket item that has to do with helping you work better. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Leo, so the sun is in that 5th house, and that can just make you more interested in going to parties and anything that has a fun element to it. Just being more creative as a whole, romantic. The next day, on the 23rd, we have a full moon at 1 degree of Aquarius. We're going to have 2 full moons in Aquarius, hence the second will be a blue moon in August. But this is your 11th house, house of hopes and wishes. Maybe seeing one of your dreams coming to fruition, coming to its harvest. With friends, there can be this sense of perhaps, everything kind of like coming to a head with them, realizing that maybe you're not on the same page. Oh, I have to say something. This is important. This is only at 1 degree. So for a lot of you, it's almost like having the full moon in Capricorn, and that is your 10th house. So for the majority of you, this is going to fall in the 10th house. I think if you're, this is tricky to say, but let's just say if you're, especially rising sign, it's easier to no, I can't even say with the rising sign because of the unequal house system, but I'm just going to say that if you're on the cusp with Pisces, this might be more in your, if you're like born when it changed over into Aries, around March 20th or 21st, around there. This will probably be in your 11th house. For the rest of you, this could be in your 10th house, and this could be career enhancement, promotion, coupled with Venus in the 6th house. That could definitely be promotion and a raise, that goes along with it. This is your status in the world, and that can increase when there's a full moon here. On the 27th, Mercury goes into Leo, so Mercury then goes into that 5th house. And if you are somebody who is talented as a writer, as a poet, whatever, this may be a time when you're getting back into that. If you've been writing a book and you kind of have, just found yourself getting distracted, you might get back into that. Mercury in the 5th house can be speaking to a person that you have feelings for. Maybe you're dating and you're just having long conversations with this person, which is such a great way to ease into, a potential, serious relationship. On the 28th, Jupiter is back into Aquarius. So Jupiter has briefly gone into your 12th house. I don't know if that has affected Pisces, affected Aries people that much. But now it started its retrograde motion on the 20th of the month, and it has gone back into Aquarius. So it's back into that 11th house. The 11th house is a very idealistic place when it comes to humanity's sake. And so when people have plans, you have Saturn transiting this house as well. And Saturn will be there for a couple more years. And then you're going to have Pluto going into that 11th house. Pluto is in your career sector right now, Aries. And it's going to eventually go into that 11th house. Now, Pluto is kind of has that heavy energy. But Aquarius is an air sign, so there's a lightness. And other astrologers have pointed this out, that, these planets were in Earth energy, and now that they're in Aquarius like this, it's a lighter feeling. It's like you're not like earthbound, And that really is a euphemism for kind of being dragged down by material existence. Yes, we live in this world, this material world. There's no denying that. But remember that saying, being in the world but not of the world, not allowing the world's influence to affect you. So Jupiter in the 11th house can expand that social network. And perhaps, there was something that, when did Jupiter go back into Aquarius? Oh, back in December, I believe. Back into Aquarius, go into Aquarius in the first place. It goes back in December. And of course, here we are in June. So we're 6 months later, and we have Jupiter in Aquarius, but there might be other things going on with the collective. Remember that we've had a lot of isolation, relative isolation, I should say, but, restrictions with gatherings, the tribe, gathering the tribe. And now, if you had some kind of situation where you were to gather a gathering, maybe it has a spiritual flavor to it, that you might be able to take advantage of this. And this might be a very important boost to you or highlight of this year for you. I can't say exactly what it would be, but, like if you're someone who wanted to go to some kind of a fest, spiritual fest, whatever. This is going to be happening for the next several months, Jupiter retrograding. And then in October, Jupiter goes direct, but it's still going to be in Aquarius until December. On the 29th, Mars goes into Virgo. So Mars joins Venus in the house of work. That could simply mean working your butt off, working overtime, it's great that it's in Virgo because it's so productive. It's so constructive. and that and regimented and everything. Virgo tends to be a sign that has a lot of qualities that connect with organization and things like that. A person can work hard and still be kind of like having needless expenditure of energy, or they're not really streamlining everything because they're not organized. So this can make you organized as well and want to be that way and feeling that sense. This is your ruler, Mars. So anyway, it ends the month on a productive note, but the sun is still in the 5th house, so it's work hard, play hard, right? Okay, so that's what I have for you, Aries. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.